So whenever you have risk, you have funding, you have schedule, you have program complexity, or you need to have the idea about the early outcome of benefits, then go ahead with this particular incremental model. Most of these requirements are known upfront because as we had this particular discussion several times, that all these requirements of course will be bundled under this particular SRS document. So in that case, I know all these things upfront. I have the SRS, so all my requirements are known well in advance. But the problem is that these requirements will be evolving over a period of time. In that case, once again, I'll prefer to go ahead with incremental model. Plus, I need to get the basic functionality to the available to the market very early. In that case, I'll prefer to go ahead with this incremental model, right? Because recall the figure here. What we were saying was that okay, the build 1 is available. Let's deploy it. Build 2 is available. Integrate it with build 1 and deploy it. And this continues to the nth build. So for that sake, the basic functionalities I'll be focusing and I'll be delivering and deploying and will be available for the market at a very early stage. Plus on projects which have lengthy development schedules, right? In that case also, let's say a project is for a duration of 5 years. Now to make a product available after 5 years and then grabbing the customers, it's better to split it into smaller portions. And the basic functionalities will be available to the market in a very early phase. And now since it is incremental in nature, it can be best suited on a project with new technology. New technology, right, it evolves. So go ahead with incremental model. So this was all about your incremental model. Now let's talk about spiral model in detail. Now this is why I have written is this as spiral / iterative, because this spiral model is nothing but a combination of your waterfall model plus your iterative model. And why it is important? Because here I am adding something new, which is your risk assessment. This was not there in any of the previous models. So this was first mentioned by your very famous B. Boehm or Barry Boehm in the year 1986 in one of his phenomenal paper. This risk assessment term has been coined for the first time in any of these SDLC models till now what you have studied. In each phase, I'll have a design goal and it will end with reviewing the progress. Let's see this particular model. So what we see is there are four quadrants. Let's say I am giving it as Q1. You can give it any number, Q2, Q3 and Q4. On this side we are talking about determining objectives, alternatives and constraints. On this side it mainly focuses on these risk analysis part. So evaluating the alternatives, identifying and resolving the risks. In this Q3 mainly we are talking about development, verifying the next level product, and in this Q4 we are planning for the next phase. Now the development team in spiral model starts with a small set of requirements and goes through each development phase for those set of requirements, right? So I have identified requirements, and what I'll do is I'll start from here, I'll keep on going, and this activity will continue, right? So the software engineering team adds the functionality for the additional requirements, and in every increasing spirals until your application is ready for the production phase. Now in case of planning, it involves the estimation of your cost, right? So all these things, determining and all. So requirements plan life cycle. It includes estimation of the cost. It talks about schedule, plus the resources for various iterations will be planned. Now this also involves understanding the system's requirement for the continuous communication between the system analyst and your customer. Once again, the customer's involvement is also there. Post which we see that okay, there is something called as risk analysis, which is done in every iteration. So the identification of potential risk is done, while risk mitigation strategy is planned and finalized. And then every time I am getting a prototype. The last one is your operational prototype. Then once we go ahead with coding and we implement it. Now your engineering includes your testing, coding, deploying softwares at the customer side. And in case of evaluation is done by the customer. It also includes identifying and monitoring the risks such as your schedule slippages, cost overruns, and whatnot. So it's like whether it risk covers everything. All the breadth and depth is covered in case of risk analysis. So whether it is running over budget or it is running short of time. So all these things are assessed here. Now, this is one of the crucial model. The reason being, as I said, it talks about, for the first time, it is a particular model is talking about risk analysis. Now, for that sake, in none of the previous models, we were talking about risk analysis. So, this is nothing but a diagrammatical representation which looks like spiral with many loops, and the exact number of these loops is unknown, and it can vary from project to project, right? At any moment of time, I may take a call on coming up with the operational prototype and then design, coding, and then implementation. So it's like in this many loops are there. So the chances are there I may not require these many loops in some of the projects. So it is project dependent and the situation dependent as well. Now each loop of the spiral is called your phase of the software. Now this is nothing but each loop. The exact number of phases needed to develop the product can be varied by the project manager. That will be like depending upon the project risk, and as the project manager dynamically determines the number of phases, so the project manager has an important role to develop a product using your spiral model. Now what we do is we see that okay, we have these 4 quadrants, and each quadrant has specific activities. On this end, what we are trying to do is we are determining the objectives, and we are identifying the alternative constraints or solutions. So requirements are gathered from the customers and the objectives are identified. These objectives are elaborated and then analyzed at the start of every phase, because every time I see there is a spiral, so iteration is going on. The alternative solutions possible for the phase are proposed in this particular quadrant. This was all about your Q1. Now let's talk about Q2. Right, in this particular one, what we are doing is that we are trying to evaluate the alternatives and identifying and resolving the risks. So in this, all possible solutions are evaluated in order to select the best possible solution. Then the risk associated with that solution is identified, and these risks are resolved using the best possible strategy. At the end of this particular quadrant, prototype is built, right? You can see these prototypes. These prototypes are built for the best possible solution. And the last one which we get is your operational prototype, this one. Now comes your Q3. In quadrant 3, what we do is we develop and verify the next level project or the next version of the product, sorry. During the third quadrant, the identified features, right, all we did in the previous two quadrants are developed and verified through testing. So you can see the testing is done, right? You see various testings going on. And at the end of this third quadrant, the next version of the software is available. Then your last one is your Q4. In this quadrant, what we do is we plan for the next phases. That means we review and we plan for the next phase. So what are the activities in this particular quadrant are like customers will be evaluating the so far developed version of the software. And in the end, planning for the next phase is started. So you can see integration and test plans, development and maintenance, requirements, life cycle plan. So everything is planned. All the planning is done in this one. So this particular quadrant is dedicated for planning. Now, the thing is that we have to handle the risk in spiral model. So this risk is nothing but an adverse situation which no one wants and which affects the successful completion of a software project. And your most important feature of the spiral model is handling these unknown risks, and that too once the project starts. Now these risk solutions are easier done by developing a prototype, which we saw in case of prototype model as well. Now the spiral model supports coping up with risks by providing the scope to build these prototypes at every phase of software development. So as we said, it is your spiral and iterative. So iteration takes place, that gives you the prototype kind of concept as well. So prototyping model also supports risk handling, but your risk must be identified completely before the start of development work of the project. And this particular model is also called as your meta model. Right, your spiral model is also called as your meta model. Now why it is called as meta model? Because it subsumes all the other software development lifecycle model. For example, your single loop will represent the iterative waterfall model. Then prototyping model is also included. So this is nothing but it's like all the models you can have in this particular package. So now let's talk about some of the benefits of using this spiral model. Now the first one is undoubtedly the risk handling approach of this particular model. Now this project with many unknown risks that occur as the development starts, in that case this particular model is something which is best one to be followed. The reason being the risk handling characteristic of this particular model. So this particular model provides the early indication of risks. And that is done by introducing the risk management, which is like for the first time we have observed in any of these software development life cycle model. And this is something which comes up with the evolutionary development. That's what we say, that things evolve. So once again is a very important plus point for this particular model. It also releases your builds for your beta testing, right? We have the first build, go ahead with beta testing, right? Recently we saw that JioMart, it released the product for your beta testing, right? Your JioMart released the product for beta. Still, the website of the JioMart says JioMart beta, right? So it's under the testing process. Now users see the system early because of your rapid prototyping tools, right? We go for prototype models, so all those benefits of prototype model and iterative model will be included in this. And yes, we go for risk analysis, so high risk functions will be developed first. And since it is like iterative in nature, so I don't need to have a perfect design in this case, because I know it is iterative, and whenever it is iterative, we call a particular software development model as flexible as well, right? Because design does not need to be perfect, because I know that in several iterations I'll improve my design, and just because I'll be getting several inputs from the customers as well, so over a period of time my design will improve. Now since it is closely tied with the users to all life cycle steps, in that case your customer satisfaction will be higher, right? My customer satisfaction will be higher. Now along with all these advantages, definitely there will be some issues with this particular model. Now the first one is like time spent for evaluating risk is too large, and especially for small or low risk projects. And not, since time spent is too large, this makes it expensive as well. On top of it, looking at the diagrams and so many steps, you might have made a guess that this particular model is too complex as compared to any other previous models. And yes, I need to have some risk assessment expertise in order to assess the risk, in order to go ahead with the risk management. And once again, it's a spiral, it's iterative, so my spiral may continue indefinitely. In that case, the question arises that how long I can wait, right? The question arises to this or to this, right? We started from here, we reached here, or probably we may reach here, right? So question arises that how long I can wait. That's once again a very crucial question. Now let's quickly see that when I should so whenever the creation of a prototype is needed, I'll go ahead with a spiral model. whenever the cost and the risk evaluation is important, I'll go ahead with spiral model. And based on this, you might have got some idea that whenever I have a long-term project, then also I'll go ahead with the spiral model. Whenever there are changing requirements, that means the users are unsure of the needs, I'll go ahead with spiral model. For new product lines, yes, once again I'll go ahead with spiral model. Whenever I'm expecting some significant changes, I'll go ahead with my spiral model. So all these are the opportunities and the situations when I'll this V model is also known as your verification and validation model. This is an SDLC model where execution of the process happens in a sequential manner. In that too in a V shape. Now this is by these steps you might have got an idea that this is nothing but an extension of waterfall model. And is based on the association of the testing phases for each corresponding development stages. That means I have these testing phases for each development phase. This means for every single phase in the development cycle, there is a directly associated testing phase. And this, just like your waterfall model, this is also a very strict model, and your next phase starts only after the completion of the previous phase. Under this particular model, the corresponding testing phase of each development phases is planned in parallel, right? So these activities are going on in parallel. That means when we were talking about requirements analysis, we were talking, this testing team was working on acceptance test design. When we were talking about system design, the team was sitting for system test design. Architecture for integration, then we had system and test design, and then for module design, we had integration and test design. Plus, we know that modules are ready, so I'll go ahead with unit test design as well. Right, so there are like various phases which I don't need to go into detail, just like your requirement phase is there, and then you have your design phase, architectural phase, and module design, and so on and so forth. Right, all these are like usual phases. The only change you see is in this part, and then things are going on in parallel. That saves a lot amount of time. So if you see, if you are plotting in this particular direction, so normally it takes a lot amount of time in order to finish this. But since the activity, these application and validation of the product is done in early stages of product development. That means, like, planning means these activities which were going on, right? These things are done. So your work for verification and validation of the product is done in the early stages of the software development. And of course, looking at the simplicity, it is like very easy to use, because just like in your waterfall model was something like this, right? And in case of V model, it is something like this. So once again, a very simple structure. On top of it, we have like several faces here in order to emphasize on parallelism, right? So that particular part is taken care of. So it's like very simple and very easy to use, plus the major part is like focusing on verification and your validation. In this V model, we go ahead with your several testing phases, like your unit testing, then we have your integration testing, then we have your system testing, and then we have your acceptance testing. Right, so all these testing techniques are well followed in this particular model. Now let's talk about some of the drawbacks of these models, this V model. One is that it does not handle your iteration part, right? It is not handling your iteration. So since we already saw those previous models where iterations were there, so we saw that okay, there are some advantages, but in this case, since it's not there, so there are some issues in the sense that we are missing those iteration parts. And since we are missing those iterations part, so there isn't any possibility of dynamic changes in the requirements, because I don't have the concept of iterations in this particular one. Plus, now since we have already talked about your spiral model, which was talking about risk assessment. So looking at those models, we can say that in this particular thing also the risk analysis is not there. Now this is also, because since all these things are not there, so we can say that okay, this particular model is not good for long projects. It is not suitable for the projects where I have moderate to high risks. It is not suitable for the projects which are complex in nature. And once an application is in the testing stage, it is difficult to move back to the previous ones where I need to bring some change in the functionalities. And since iterations are not there, prototyping is not there, so I don't get any working software in the initial phases, or means a prototype. That means at the end only I get the fully functional product, which maybe in some sense, we can get a faulty product at the end, and that would be like a very late event. In this V model, we do look into the scalability factors, we do look into your cross referencing, Now cross-referencing means cross-referencing. This means the direct correlation between the requirements and the corresponding testing activity. Right. So these are some things which are included, but overall there are several issues which are good in number. Now let's try to identify that when actually we can use this particular model. Now for the system with high reliability, the reason being I'm going for verification and validation. Plus, I need to have all the requirements known well in upfront. Well in advance, I need to have the idea about all these requirements. Plus, the solution and the technology is known to us. Both these things, your solution plus the technology is known to us. Now, let's talk about the final model, which is a practical model, which is called as your fountain model. Now this is based on your waterfall model, which you've already studied. Recall that particular waterfall model, right, where we had this kind of structure. Now this particular thing, observe that the sequence always contains cycle. Right. So we got to know that, okay, there will be cycles. Now this reflects the fact that some phases cannot begin before others. Right? Once the product is ready, then only I can test. So looking at this, you might have observed that, okay, a sequence goes on. So this is nothing but a logical improvement to the waterfall model, and it's like we are starting from analysis phase, then going to the requirements phase, then design and coding and testing, and then further the operations. So what we have is, we have this sequence of events as similar to the waterfall model. Then we have the additional step that there can be a fallback to any of the previous step, moving through a number of steps and falling back one or more steps, and this can be done repeatedly, right? So this falling back can be done repeatedly. So this is like something which is much more flexible than your waterfall model. So all these analysis phase, requirement specification, designing, coding, testing, everything is the same one. And since we are jumping from one phase to another, so there will be more interaction between your design and your requirement. And since there is a circle, right, these circles, so what you can observe is that there are iterations within phases, and of course jumping from one phase to other is also possible. Now one of the major drawback of this particular model is that it may be degraded into code a bit, test a bit. Right, what I'm trying to say is that this can be considered as code a bit and test a bit. That means you are doing something very small and then testing. So that is something which is not advisable. Now the point is when to use this model then. Looking at this movements and all, you can say that when my requirements are uncertain, and it keeps on changing, and these days startups can be where it can be used thoroughly. So this was all about your fountain model